So here now for a deeper dive into the latest political headlines, I'd like to welcome in political strategist Rina Shah and Democratic strategist Dr. Susan Johnson Cook. Thank you both so much for your time. Really appreciate it. Rina, I'd like to start with you because we are set to hear from the former president really at any moment. Yesterday, he confirmed that he will not be doing any more debates. The vice president, though, says that the candidates owe another debate to the American voters. Do you think the former president will be persuaded to change his mind, possibly do another debate?
In the aftermath of the debate that we all saw was just fine, not problematic like the one we saw at the top of the summer with Biden versus Trump that led to that historic dropout of President Biden from this race. It's a debate that gave us feelings that maybe we're returning to normalcy of sorts. When I saw Harris take on Trump, I'll say this. It struck me as different because she presented in a way that nobody expected her to, whereas Trump came as the same candidate we've seen from 2016. What's changed about him, though, is that the embrace of conspiracy theories has gotten even more bizarre, and I didn't think that was possible. But the fact that he spewed such nonsense about the cannibalism of pets, Haitian migrants in Illinois eating their pets, I mean, making those kind of statements not only is just so disturbing, it's false. These claims are part of right-wing extremist communities and are being promulgated, again, by conspiracy theorists that have hung out with MAGA Trump worldites for a long time. And I'm getting to a point here, and I want to share this because I think it's really important to talk about today, since this week we marked the anniversary of the 9/11 attacks that took place in 2001, where we lost thousands of our fellow Americans in such an unbelievable terrorist incident that shakes me to this day. It shook me when I saw Laura Loomer, a 9/11 truther, a conspiracy theorist, accompanied the former President Trump to the anniversary where former and current elected officials are memorializing those that died that day at the World Trade Center. I think it is a time where we all should be struck by that. The fact that Laura Loomer is being given oxygen by Trump world should tell us we should take this party, the Republican Party that's been taken over by conspiracy theorists, we should take it very seriously when they tell us things. So again, it's been a really incredible week, a tough week, a busy one, but that was the moment that stuck out to me the most.
Yeah, and I do want to talk to you more about Laura Loomer. But first, Dr. Johnson Cook, I want to get over to you and talk about this debate. You know, the former president's calling out Kamala Harris on Truth Social, saying she was a, quote, no-show at the Fox debate, that she refused to do NBC and CBS. Do you think the vice president should agree potentially to a Fox News debate if that will get the former president to do another one?
She can do that, but she hands down won that debate. She was very prepared. She was very clear on her topics. Part of being a president of the United States is being strategic, being articulate, and not having these extreme, bizarre theories. And so if that will help even out the score, I don't think he will do any better. In fact, I think he will do worse because he showed for himself this week on September 10th that he can't take her on. She is articulate, she is strong, she's been a prosecutor, and she understands the issues. He did not show that very much. He just showed bizarre issues that he made up and theories that he made up and that MAGA's making up. So I think if she wants to take it on, but it's her charge to call.
You know, and Rina, back to you. I mean, the doctor there pointed out September 10th was the debate. So we heard from the former president. September 11th, obviously, a day that will always be in American history, such a dark day, you know, in some of the company that he was keeping, example, Laura Loomer there. So now there's this new polling, a Reuters Ipsos poll that shows Vice President Harris has expanded her lead to 5 points after that debate. Do you think there's a point where former President Trump pivots his messaging in some way?
We could hear him pivot that messaging within the next half hour. What he says from his resort there in California today will matter. Everything he says on this trail, particularly as we're in this last 50 days, does matter tremendously to the people who are hurting in this country. There are people who actively need our government's help. And look, I'm a small government person here, and I am a registered Republican lifelong because I thought this was the party for freedom. But what I'm seeing in this nominee that the party has chosen to put up, and let me be very clear why Donald J. Trump is this year's nominee for president from the Republicans. It's because the most extremist people showed up in Republican primaries to vote, and they chose him. After we saw a whole fall of capable, qualified, credible candidates arrive at debates and try to talk about the issues, try to talk about solutions for Americans who are starving for them. So good Republicans are listening to me right now. When I talk to you and tell you right now that your vote should not be cast for Trump, I tell you that with great sorrow, that the Republican Party doesn't need to put these kinds of candidates up, those that promulgate lies daily. I hope he chooses to go to the podium in the next hour and talk about solutions on housing, on healthcare, on economic opportunity. Because what I saw in Harris yesterday, somebody who I have really big policy differences with, is a woman who showed up so prepared. And that's what we teach our daughters. That's what my mother taught me. It's the American way to show up, to have a rational, reasonable, civil conversation. And I saw she welcomed that, and he grew angrier. So I hope he can turn this around for his sake and for the Republican Party's sake. But in this election so far, Nicole, I think a lot of women like me, despite being lifelong registered Republicans, are pretty irate that the fact that our daily lives cost so much, and yet Republicans want to continue to further the Laura Loomers of the world.
Well, I do want to talk to you more about that, Rina, because I know that, the former president certainly still has plenty of support. But first, Dr. Johnson-Cook, I want to talk to you about some of this strategy we're seeing on the other side of things. The Harris team, trying to reach out to these small rural voters heading to Pennsylvania. We know how important Pennsylvania is going to be to this. She has yet, though, to release a full policy platform for these rural communities. Do you think we will see that soon? There is so much focus on the current vice president not really expanding on her policy details.
Well, I think we'll see more of that, certainly from her. But I also think that what's important is to say that I am the trusted one to lead us. And I think what she's focusing on right now is the human touch, making the connection, which she is doing wonderfully. It's called powerful preparation for powerful presentation. And what she's begun to do is touch the people at their heart, at their core. Because as you see, as my co-panelist said, not only is she not urging people to vote who are Republican, but the Republicans have already declared we are not going with Trump. We have left the party if this is the candidate. And it's not just women, it's men across the board. Dick Cheney, all of the people who are saying publicly, nah, I can't stand with this, he's too bizarre. What Kamala Harris is doing is saying, I'm human. I have the human touch. I touch you where you are. I'm not just for the rich and the wealthy, because I am middle class. I am you. I come from you. We started at a meager place. And so I understand the struggles you have. I understand what it takes to build something, to have a community, to be together, to be whole as a community. And she's touching at that emotional heart place. And there's nothing else you can do. Trump can't go there. He doesn't have any understanding of what it means to work overtime, even though he now just said that in the clip we saw before that. He has no understanding of what it means to even work. And so I think Kamala is going to make sure that she now expands her policies. What she did do for America was talk about the opportunity economy. And that means everyone has an opportunity who did not have one before, and has more opportunity if you did. And I think that that's what America wants to hear. It all boils down to the economy. And no matter what, who can say that they're going to deliver for the economy? That's what's going to happen.
And Rina, I want to finish up with you just because, you surprised me a little bit with your last answer there. Do you think a lot of Republicans are conflicted? And what do you think it will take to keep the former president on topic? Because, so many advisors say, Mr. President, stay on topic, continue to focus on the economy, continue to focus on immigration, issues that we know are important to voters. And polling has shown that, many Americans believe the former president would handle those issues better. What is it going to take to get him to stay on those topics?
I don't think he can stay on topic. That's why we see what we see consistently. If he can't bully like he did with Biden, and he's not going to do that with Kamala because she's got something for him. She said, say it to my face. And she was clear on that. So he can't bully, then he can't stay on topic. And he kept repeating and really rambling and staying off point rather than on point. So Republicans are frustrated publicly and certainly many privately. In the rooms that I'm in where I had Republican friends, they left the party when he was president last time. Now they're saying, I'd rather be independent or just nothing rather than to vote for him. And that's what I'm hearing across the board.
And Rina, so we'll end with you. I mean, do you think that there are, enough Republicans that are still going to say, listen, he doesn't stay on topic all of the time, but I'm still going to cast this vote? Or do you think that the former president at some point is going to be able to kind of stay on prompter, stay on topic, and not veer off?
We know that there are about 6 or 7 states that are going to determine the outcome of this election. It's been talked about breathlessly many times. But when we look at these states, what we do see is a cross-section of voters who, again, do tend to lean right, but aren't feeling sure about Trump. Some of these people crossed over to vote for Biden in 2020. But what we know right now is Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Georgia are all important to the Harris campaign, because if Trump is able to clinch those 3, then she almost doesn't have a path or possibility to win the presidency in any way. So what we see her doing again today, for example, in North Carolina, talking to people not only in banking center like Charlotte, but going to rural Black communities, talking to those folks in the same way Obama did back in 2008, 2012. What we see her doing is employing the strategy again of trying to capitalize on the economy, because it all boils down to that. Now, the folks in these states I just talked about, there are women that, again, don't like Trump, but they are putting economy first of mind. That is going to be so consequential, because we still have a long ways to go in this next 50 days. We don't know where these people are because they sit right on the fence. And economy seems to be the one issue that tips them one way or the other.
Well, we will certainly see what the former president has to say when he speaks in moments there in California. Rina Shah, Dr. Susan Johnson Cook, my thanks to you both.